Let's get started here. Call to order at 6:36 p.m. So, quiet down, please. Okay. We'll begin with roll call. Pekis. Patel. Korshane. Himes. Daniels. Giordina. Lowe. Shea. Polaris. Bergen. Bluen. Golfin. Lou. Smith. Sochet. Chulo. Nakvi. Alvarez. Bosco. Casazola. Chen. Cheng. Chaudhry. Chow. Craddock. Gooding. Googins. Grant. Infersha. Innes. Jones. Clock resigned. Krishna. Lundeen. Lakshkarnayagam. Manfredi. McCabe. Manidi. Paul. Perez. Rana. Barth. Rana. Again? No? Okay. Rifkin.
Here.
Rowe. Sargent. Verbeck. Violet. Ward. Wanneberger. All right, we definitely need to do a quorum count because I don't think we have quorum. So, stand at ease. Quorum is, yeah, but, no, quorum is actually, because it's 35, right? So 50% of that is 17
Yeah, we've got 17. Yes.
Are there any senators? We're one short of quorum. Does anybody have any voting members of Senate that you can text and tell them to come?
We don't have quorum.
We're one short.
No, Kevin's coming.
Kevin's coming?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So I'd like to suspend the rules. Yeah, oh, is he like in the
Yeah,
union?
he's at 3:30.
So he is in the union.
Oh, yes, he's in.
Do you guys we'll just wait. Is there anyone here who would like to be recognized for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we move into minutes. Obviously, we can't approve the minutes without quorum. So just wait because he's supposedly in the union. David? They need to be. All right, so we move into approval of the minutes from March 27, 2013. Is there a motion? Inez, is there a second? Violet? All those in favor of approving the minutes from March 27, 2013, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? All right, clearly passes. Next, we move into reports of the executive. President Pekis.
Hello, everyone. As you might have noticed, we recently announced that there are going to be two town hall forums regarding a new recreational facility, which are going to be taking place, I believe, next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, the 16th and 17th, from 4 to 6 p.m. in the Conover Auditorium. In attendance will be some key players like Rich Gray, Moon Choi, the new master planner, Laura Cruikshank, and Director of Recreational Services, Cindy Costanzo. So at these meetings, it'll be a good opportunity to let administration know what you think about a new rec facility. There's a Q&A that's available on UConn Today. You can check out that we helped put together, and it answers a lot of obvious questions about the new facility and what kind of implications it would have for students. And pending the results of these town hall forums on the 16th and 17th, we're going to be going to the Board of Trustees meeting on the 24th to ask for the construction of a new rec facility. And depending on how much support we get there, which I'm anticipating will be relatively high, we can anticipate that the university is willing to move forward on that initiative. So that'll be a good thing to bookend our year here. I think it'll be a great accomplishment. Student voice is extremely important, so on the 16th and 17th, let your constituents know, anybody that you know that might be interested in something like this, to come out and voice their concerns and whatever they might think about it. Okay? I believe that's it.
Are there any questions for the president?
Okay.
Thank you, President Peckus. Next, we move into report of the Vice President, Vice President Patel.
So a couple of things really quick. I've started to meet with a group of senators to work on 2 pieces of legislation that we hope we'll be able to bring before the Senate, for the last Senate, which is on 2024. Yep. The first legislation deals with USG elections policies and trying to reform them. And the second one deals with creation of essentially exec committee for Senate. This is something that I've championed throughout my tenure within USG, or at least the idea of it, and hopefully we'll be able to accomplish it by end of this year. So those are 2 things, the 2 things that I'm working on. If you're interested in working on or helping out with these ideas, you could come to our meetings at 4 o'clock in the conference room on Monday. So essentially it's one more Monday left, and then the Monday before Senate. So I hope that you'll be able to join us. The second thing, I'm not sure if Chief of Staff Shea is going to be here, but assuming that he's not, I just want to reiterate that if you are attending the banquet, you have to pay your $5 before Friday. I'm not sure what time. So I hope you do it as soon as possible. If you don't pay, you won't be able to attend the banquet. And that also goes for the person that you're bringing along with you. So please do it as soon as possible, and at latest by Friday. So those 2 things. If you have any questions.
Are there any questions for the Vice President? Yes.
So the idea is that, so Senate is essentially right now run by one person, the Speaker, right? So, and there are limitations to that and how much you could accomplish. So things like checking on people's attendance to committees, right? It's really difficult to do it when you are one person committee essentially running the entire body. There are 40, essentially about 40 of you, and tracking down every single one of you one at a time. It's just difficult what you're doing. So this committee would be responsible for managing Senate as a whole. And it would be obviously led by the Speaker as the chairperson of the committee. Another idea that this committee would be dealing with would be approving the agenda for Senate. Right now, exec is the one who approves Senate for agenda, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So those kind of things, it should be dealt with by Senate, because it doesn't really involve exec per se. It's a Senate business, and Senate should be dealing with those. And specifics, obviously, we'll try to bring it to caucus if we finish it earlier, or at least the part that we are done with, we'll bring it to caucus to debate. And it's something that it's not, if we don't have enough time to talk about all of these issues, then we are obviously not trying to push it through on the 24th. We could, someone from the committee could bring it up in the fall. It's not time sensitive, so if we don't have enough time and if we can't discuss all of these issues, then we'll wait. So.
Are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you think having the Senate exec set up before the fall semester starts would be advantageous to working during the summer to recess time?
I think ideally it would be, but I think making sure we get it right is more important than just being able to get it started. I hope that we could do it, and I could be here when we are talking about these issues. But if it doesn't happen, then I would say, if we don't have enough time to talk about all to have a good debate on it, then I would say we should just wait until the fall. But if we do have enough time, then we should get it done just for that purpose, so that we know who the committee is and things like that. So.
Are there any other questions for the Vice President? Thank you, Vice President Patel.
Wait, you mentioned the graduation set.
Oh, yeah, if you are graduating senior and you want is a slash when you're graduating from USG, you don't have to pay for it. You just get one. Please send me an email saying you would like one, and I'll order one for you. So, oh, and if you know someone who was previously in USG, but are not currently in USG, but would like one, I'll order one for them. I'll put their names on the list as well. So.
Thank you, Vice President Patel. Next, we move into report of the comptroller.
Good evening, everyone. Real quick, just so everybody knows, the level of the reserve fund as it stands right now is $3,690. That is contingent upon Senate accepting a check that I will be refusing to sign on the basis of it was improperly approved for this budget session. Run UC requested funding for their coach for the fall semester during the budget process, and it slipped through the cracks with funding board and it was approved anyway. But since this budget session is not for fall funding, I'm not going to sign it on that basis. So Senate, you have the opportunity to overrule that, should you wish. But if no one motions to do so, then that money is included in that $3,690. Does that make sense to everyone? Because I know this is not something that has come up before.
Yeah.
When you say it was for the fall semester, as in they were supposed to receive it the fall semester, or they applied for the fall semester for the spring semester?
They applied in the fall semester during the budget session for the fall semester.
For fall of 2012 or 2000?
Right. Yeah. $1,500.
Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Who can receive payment to be a coach? Should it be an undergrad, a doctorate student, can it be a student?
It can be a graduate student, it can't be an undergraduate student.
Any other questions for the comptroller? Thank you, Comptroller Corshane. Next, we move into report of Chief of Staff. Chief of Staff Shea.
Oh, can I give you a word on this one?
Absolutely, yeah.
She asked me to do.
Okay, so next we move into my report. How's it going, guys? Two things. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., Senator Menidi and I will be meeting with Logan Trimble to continue our talks. If you have any other questions about how that's going, or if you'd like to be there, talk to Anthony, talk to Senator Menidi. He's doing a great job with that. The other thing is I'm here to make two appointments to the Nominations Committee on behalf of Senator Sargent, who can't be here because he's sick. Two appointments to the Nominations Committee. Again, the Nominations Committee is a committee that puts forth nominations to the Senate floor for consideration regarding the judiciary. The reason why we're doing this so quickly, normally it wouldn't matter if we waited, but we want to get that Nominations Committee needs to be set up so they can nominate justices so that we can have a full judiciary beginning on April 24th, which is the beginning of our fall term. The two people that Senator Sargent wanted to nominate to this committee were Senator Manfredi and Christine Douglan, who's a former senator, and she was also a part of this committee in the past. So she served on this committee and was responsible for the committee that nominated the judiciary that we have now. She's done it before, and Senator Manfredi is a new appointment to the Nominations Committee. If there are any questions regarding the nominations, you can ask me, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer all of them. Yeah.
Hey, I just had a quick question.
Sure.
Because last year they did like letter of intent for the nomination committee. Were they doing it different this year? So
I believe so. Yeah. Senator Sargent is the one who chairs the committee, and 2 weeks ago was when he got nominated. So in that time, these must have been two nominations that he felt strongly about to suspend the process. But there's no constitutional or bylaw detailed process for establishing the committee. It's really at the discretion of the chair. In other words, he doesn't have to do letters of intent. he doesn't have to do anything other than to nominate them. But if he wanted to even collect resumes or anything like that, he could have gone. And that, yeah, go ahead.
So that was, I was interested in like applying maybe one cheer.
Oh, sure.
One of the one committee.
I would talk to Mark because he's the one who's responsible for the nominations. This would bring the total of the nominations committee up to 3, and the nominations committee can be as big as 5 members. And you need to have 2 sitting senators, which would be accomplished with Senator Sargent and Senator Manfredi. And it can't be any fewer than 3. So he can decide to keep the committee closed, or he can decide to add up to 2 more people. So I would talk to him. But they're not my nominations. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
So he wants to select justices by the 24th?
I'm assuming the timetable is, he's working with Sean, actually. He's working with the Chief Justice about the timetable because the Chief Justice obviously knows the process the best for not just selecting the judiciary, but also amongst themselves, I believe they select the Chief Justice. And they also are responsible for swearing in the next president and the next senators, the next Senate, rather. So for that reason, I believe that he's working on a condensed timetable, but that's not to say that they can't, I believe constitutionally have to have 3, and I'm not too sure. I'd like to refer to the judiciary. They have to have at least 3 justices, so they can add more justices. They can add more people to the nominations committee. Again, if my interpretation is correct. Is that correct? Or, okay. Do you know Kara as a former chair of the committee? For adding more members to the judiciary. If you remember correctly, open, right? What I'm trying to say is they can set up a judiciary just as last year they did 4 justices and they left 1 spot blank, open. So they established a full committee?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The reason for going through all that is just to see if people who are interested can still have the opportunity to serve on both nominations and the judiciary. So this is a little bit technical, but the point is that they want to have a full judiciary by April 24th to help swear people in. That's not to say that if you want to be a judiciary justice, or if you want to be on the committee, you can't do that. You can, if there are vacancies and different things like that. Does that make sense?
So my main question was, can nominations need to be approved by Senate before they're considered on the committee? Because in that case, then this would be the last day to
Nominate justices.
nominate committee. It nominates the committee.
Oh, okay. Yes and no. Yes, for the April 24th, technically this would be the last Senate. But again, that nominations committee can fill vacancies. So the nominations, like Kara was, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Does that make sense? Okay. Are there any other questions? Does everyone understand that? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No, it's okay. Sure.
So, can you like nominate yourself to be on this committee if someone is sending, like, not make a motion to add myself to someone second the motion? I'm just curious.
I'd like to, I don't know. You can?
You can, membership, in the bylaws, the membership of the nomination committee shall be appointed by the speaker of the confirmation of the Senate.
The whole membership will be?
The whole membership. So I guess technically these are your nominations, not Senator Sargent's.
Okay, historically, right, but when Kara, for example, was doing it, well, that time we did.
Well,
Yeah.
it's technically, like the chair is nominating them on your behalf.
Okay, well, I'd like to establish the committee that Mark wanted, because he's the chair of the committee. And historically, that's what's been done. But if you wanted to get nominated again, and if Mark wanted to do it, he could do it.
Okay, so I can't motion myself to have Senate.
That's what I'm being told.
Okay, just.
Refer to the judiciary on that.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Again, these are usually for the nominees, but you can ask anything. It's open mic night. Okay, David, if you want to move into debate. The okay, we'll move into debate. So if anybody want to, oh, did the nominees approve? Well, she did before Senate and Christine did before Senate as well, but do the nominees accept their nomination? And Christine did again before Senate. So we'll move into debate if there's anybody who'd like to be recognized for debate. So is there anybody who'd like to be recognized? All right, seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of approving those nominations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions?
Same.
Passes. You guys are confirmed. And that's all I have for my report as well, so if anybody wants to ask any questions while I'm here. Next, we move into report of the judiciary. No report. Okay, then we move into report of the committees. Chairperson Hines, your actors.
So first of all, Maeve's chief of staff, her report was just, remember that the banquet's on the 20th, and you need to have your $5 into the USG office at the front desk by Friday. So if you don't have your $5, you can't go. So make sure you have your $5. And ACK Affairs, I'm meeting with the library next week to talk about the 24-hour extended finals policy for the library and the textbook swap that we've been talking about in ACK Affairs. And then for finals, we're just be excited. We're getting a candy buffet this year, which is exciting and new.
That's awesome.
And different, and it'll be happy. And then everything else will be the same. New York Times got us a lot of goodies. So that'll be on the Sunday before finals week. So
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Thank you, Chairperson Himes. Next, we move into report of external affairs. Chairperson Daniels.
All right, as far as Next Generation Connecticut goes, we are expecting the Finance Committee is going to caucus this weekend. So therefore, there is another press conference. You're welcome to go tomorrow in Hartford at 11 a.m. at the Capitol with the governor, at which they will be announcing the names of over 100 businesses that are in support of this program. They include most of the big names of the businesses you know that are the major employers in the state, including Travelers, ESPN, Cigna, UTC, companies like that, as well as a number of small businesses and labor. AFL-CIO is on board as well, so a nice combination of the business community and the labor community, showing that this is something that everyone can get behind. So we do think that the Finance Committee will probably vote on this next week. That is our first big hurdle. After that, we'd expect Senate and House votes in the coming months. So it's still important. If you would like to contact your legislator, you can do that easily, UConnAdvocates.org. We've also got ads up on CT Capital Report, taking you to our USG site with all different kinds of information. So check out the USG webpage with our stuff on Next Generation if you or anyone you know is interested in that kind of stuff. One other note about the stuff going on at the legislature. Our mayor, Betsy Patterson, was up there today talking about the pilot program, which stands for Payment in Lieu of Taxes. That is where the state, because obviously UConn is a big property in Mansfield where they otherwise might be getting property tax revenue, reimburses the town for that money. And the governor's proposing taking that away, which would be a big problem for this town. And you know, I'm pretty concerned myself that it could cause some trouble between the university and the state and the town in the future if we can't work out a way to properly fund the town as opposed to property taxes from UConn. That's all I've got.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Thank you, Chairperson Daniels. Next, we move into report of funding. Chairperson Giordina.
So we have the legislative request from last Senate that was tabled, the Taekwondo coach that we're going to be reviewing in old business today, just to update, or just to remind you of, funding board did look over it. Just the specifics are that it was, coach was not applied for in the regular budgeting session, and therefore funding board deemed it not an emergency, and the final recommendation was that it not be funded, but again, your Senate, so you can do whatever you want. I would like to note that it is for $4,000, which is more than we have in the reserve fund right now, so you're gonna have to cut it at least a little. But we'll get that after this, after the reports. Funding board is gonna be reviewing budgets for fall this Saturday, and we'll be presenting those budgets next Senate, so be ready for that. We had about $375,000 in requests. I don't have an exact number for you yet, but that is significantly less than, no, sorry, not 300, $775,000 in requests, so significantly less than last time around. So hopefully we should be able to get most of those groups funded.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Thank you, Chairperson Giordina. Next, we move into report of student affairs. Chairperson Lowe.
It's a tight fit. Okay, guys. So as of right now, campus cleanup day is on Saturday. I canceled that. So now you don't have campus cleanup day on Saturday. What happened is Saturday is open house, and facilities and the student affairs department decided that they did not want people cleaning up when parents were coming that would be paying here for the next 4 years. So it makes sense. Because of that, we will be changing the day. We are going to be cleaning up around campus on campus beautification day, which is spring weekend, which makes sense for student affairs and it makes sense for USG to be involved with. So that day is April 26th. It's a Friday. I know that's going to be harder for some of you, so I'm going to pass around a list for when you're available. The time slot that we will be cleaning up will be from 11:30 to 4:30. So write down your name, your PeopleSoft, and when in that time slot you are available, and then I will be getting in touch with you. Besides that, you still have the safety walk next Thursday night in the student union. I think it's in this room, to be honest. But if you guys ever don't know a date or a time, I write everything on the board, on the calendar, in the USG office. So you guys can always go to that if you are confused about anything, or email me. Other than that, that's about it. I'm probably going to send a doodle about the times for the campus, the cleanup day. If you've already written your name on this, you don't have to do the doodle. There's just a lot of people missing here today. That's about it.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Seeing none, we move into unfinished business. An act concerning funding Taekwondo Club. Forget the senators who were sponsoring the bill. Okay. Yeah, well, yeah. Come up first. It should be. Can you just wait a second while we pull it up? Senator Guggen, Senator Manfredi, if you'd like to present the legislation again. In unfinished business or tabled legislative items are introduced as new pieces of legislation. In other words, you have to present it again. We have to go through the questions, and then we'll proceed to a debate where you can make any amendments that you wished. By unanimous consent, you can. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Hasn't she motioned on the Doesn't it belong to the body now? I don't believe so. I think I don't remember. Well, by unanimous consent, we can do it. So let's go up there and say what the amendment is, and then I'll ask by unanimous consent.
Okay, we would like to amend this to $1,275 as opposed to $4,000. The reason we're doing this is it erases the retroactive aspect. They have 17 practices left, and at $75 a practice, that comes out to, again, $1,275.
By unanimous consent? In other words, are there any objections? So ordered. Okay, so that's amended amount. If you can just say it one more time for him.
$1,275.
Okay. So you can present the legislation.
Okay. I'm sorry, my voice is a little crackly today.
Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through the funding of undergraduate student initiatives, whereas UConn Taekwondo has requested funding in order to pay for their longtime coach, Master Waleed Youssef. Whereas this club, open to all students, has a clear and steady improvement thanks in part to their reliable and dependable educator. Whereas the Student Initiative has a high likelihood of success and bears clear merit to the student body, therefore be it resolved, the undergraduate student government allocates $1,275 for the above-mentioned initiative of UConn Taekwondo.
Okay, so, and there's a motion, obviously, because it's a new piece of legislation.
I would like to motion to approve this.
And then, is there a second? Ines, all right. So are there any questions regarding the legislation? Yes, Senator Rana.
Does this include the 6 practices that have happened since Senate?
No. From today, they have 17 practices left until the end of the semester.
Are there any other questions, Senator Gooding?
So, did they initially apply for funding through the funding board?
This semester?
Whenever, was it for the, okay,
It's for this semester.
okay, so they apply this semester to the funding board for like funding?
No, this is just a legislative request. They didn't make a request to funding board.
Okay.
Are there any other questions regarding the motion? Seeing none, we move into debate. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Senator Rana?
Hi guys. So obviously Senate tabled this legislation 2 weeks ago, which means that the Taekwondo Club has had 6 practices since, if I'm correct? Yes, 6 practices that they are not requesting money for, which in my opinion, since Senate was the one that took the responsibility of tabling it, we should be retroactively funding those 6 practices too, because that was out of the hand of Taekwondo Club and they had no way of being able to get that money back. I mean, they had no way of getting that money for themselves. So we should take that responsibility upon ourselves and add that amount for those past 6 practices that they've already had since the previous Senate.
Are you making any motions to amend the legislation or just to clarify?
Yeah. I'd like to, 450? I'd like to make a motion to amend the requested amount to 1,525? 1,725.
All right, a motion has been made. Is there a second? Senator Alvarez. Are there any questions regarding the motion to amend? Sure.
I have a question. These apply to the normal funding, correct?
Are there any other questions regarding the motion? All right, seeing none, we move into debate regarding the motion to amend to 1725, right? 1725. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of approving the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? All right, motion passes. So the amount is amended to $1,725. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate regarding the initial piece of legislation, or the amended piece of legislation? Senator Alvarez?
I'm not sure why everybody else has come through here, so look at me. If I'm wrong on this, I'm going to look like a complete idiot, but wouldn't it be 1,735? No? No? Because, no? Damn it, Mark. Huh? Damn it. All right. Never mind then.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for debate? Senator Violet, that's, all right. Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of approving the legislation as amended by Senator Rana, please signify by saying aye. That was a vote, yeah. We'll do it again. All those in favor of approving the legislation as amended by Senator Rana, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Totally passes. All right. Can you go back to the agenda? Next, we move into new business. An act concerning the bylaws of the undergraduate student government.
All right, just give me a second to pull this up. You guys want to come up here? Your names are on the document. Do you want to come up?
There's like 100 ways to spell Kate. It's ridiculous.
Aren't we cute though? Haley and Kaylee, isn't that great? We've had one, like, more like 2 meetings, and it's already confusing.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So the legislation's up there first. I'll just go through this really quick. An act concerning the bylaws of the undergraduate student government. Whereas the student government must maintain an effective committee structure as outlined by its constitution in order to accomplish its goals. Whereas the Student Affairs Committee has been identified as having a scope too broad to address all of its issues in a given year, therefore be it resolved that the undergraduate student government adopt the amendment to its bylaws presented with this legislation. Be it further resolved that this amendment will go into effect at the adjournment of the last meeting of the Senate for the 2012-2013 academic year. Just so that everybody's clear, that means that this will go into effect at the end of the first Senate that we hold on the 24th and be in effect for the second Senate. Can I get some head nods to make sure that that makes sense? Okay, good. Because that's the only confusing part about this. Now can we switch over to the bylaw itself?
Because it would be the start of the next Senate, of the incoming Senate. No.
All right. So the changes here are to bylaw 5 and bylaw 6. These were formerly the Recruitment and Retention Committee, which for some reason we never actually took out of our bylaws, at least not in the copy that I was working off of. So for all intents and purposes, it's bylaw 5. And then bylaw 6, the Student Affairs Committee bylaw. Track changes was not friendly to me because I was deleting lots of paragraphs. So I'll go through this clause by clause, but I'm not going to read it specifically just so that I don't confuse anyone. First committee. Bylaw 5, the Student Services Committee. Would you like to kind of explain a little bit before we...
Should I give the resort example?
No.
Okay. All right. Wow. Then no, Haley can go first.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, so student services is anything that's a service provided to students that serves a student's their need in order to go to school here. So for example, you have to eat, so dining services, facilities, res halls, all of that would fall under me.
So that's essentially what the bylaw itself explains. The first clause is setting the scope of the committee to deal with the, as Kaylee mentioned, the needs of students to exist at UConn. And it also reflects the other bylaws for committees that the committee chair must compile a report each semester. They're responsible for holding events, conducting research, doing all of the things that a committee does, and designates them as a standing committee with its own budget and its own voting members. Moving on to the Student Development Committee.
Alright, so the Student Development Committee is based on the idea that UConn has its own culture and that we should cultivate it and make it progressive and constantly growing and improving and make it basically reflect the values of students, the pride that we can take in each other's accomplishments, and the idea that we all want to always improve and share in that improvement. So student development would be constantly working to understand what students want out of their education and how they relate that between the administration and their actual experience.
So then just to go through, again, the bylaw itself, the first clause outlines the, what the committee is charged with. The second clause goes into more detail as to what exactly the committee will be doing, charges them with creating creating a report every semester, hosting events, conducting research, etc., and finally that they are in fact a standing committee that is fully voting and member of the Senate. So, pretty straightforward. The reasoning behind this, I know I sent that in that very long-winded letter to you guys last week, but just to reiterate, after talking with Alice, after talking with Steve, after talking with Connor Bergen, who, believe it or not, was Student Affairs Chair once upon a time, that Student Affairs is involved with so much as a committee that you simply can't cover it all in 1 year. And given that the administration is moving their structure of how Student Affairs works, it's only natural for us to be reactive in that we change our structure to match the way the administration is changing the way they deal with the same issues that we deal with. This gives us, instead of one committee that oftentimes is very large, and groups tend to function better in smaller units, we'll now be able to focus on these two subsets of student affairs issues more effectively rather than an all-encompassing committee that's not as focused in its mission. So with that, you guys have any questions for myself, Haley? What's it?
Is Senator Manfredi motioning to enact concerning? Yeah. Okay. Is there a second?
I have a question.
Wait, hold on. Is it second by Senator Googans? Now we go into questions. So, Senator Gooding.
Thanks. Okay, so you're trying to like break everything down so you'll have smaller subgroups. How do you think, like, what's like your plan? How do you think this will work? Because I remember, I believe it was like Sam and Tracy who had like smaller subgroups, like when you had MTV committee and all these other committees, they didn't like quite work out. So what's like your vision? How do you think it would be different?
The difference between what we're working on right now as compared to what Sam tried 2 years ago is Sam's had student affairs broken into subcommittees. The student affairs was still the whole standing committee by our Constitution, and then had smaller subcommittees within. This is creating two standing committees, each chair with a vote on exec, and its own meeting time, its own budget, completely autonomous of one another so that they can function independently for 90% of the time, but as any committee can always collaborate on things when needed. It gives the chairs the ability to basically work on their own on issues and have their own leadership style without having to worry about a higher position that they report to.
So basically it's still like student affairs, even though you changed the name, it's just two chairs, right?
Two chairs, two committees.
Okay.
The duties of each sum together to be what student affairs was previously.
Okay.
Are there any other questions, Senator?
Okay, sure. Well, first of all, as you saw, there was like a campus culture report. So what we want to first look at is what students value on campus, whether that's pursuing fitness, pursuing women's rights or minority rights, or political activism. And then we want to create outlets through which students can not only participate in that themselves, but channel it to other students around them so that we all have shared goals and values as well.
Are there any other questions, Senator Alvarez and Senator Chairperson in that order?
How do you intend to conduct research? How is that going to be done?
I'm glad you asked that. Something that Kara and I have been looking at for next year is beefing up our ability to research for the organization as a whole, not just for these committees, but for every committee and every senator. And we're working with our student staff to figure out how to best form that mechanism. But I think a great example of how we can do that is something that we saw earlier today. You guys all got the smoking survey that went out last week, 2 weeks ago. We got the results back from that. We got over 2,000 responses. It was a great result, and we have a lot of useful information that I believe we'll be presenting at the last Senate, right? So we've already shown that we can conduct research in that manner. Plan on keep going with that for not just these committees, but all committees.
So for this research, is this going to be something that the committee does, or is this something that you're going to be doing, and then those goals from the research is what the committee will do next year? Like, is this something that you're going to do the research for over the summer, and you're going to have like this, and this that you want to do next year, or is this something that you're going to come in next year, then do the research?
I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to start it over the summer, but I don't think that we should delve too far into it because part of these being committees, they have to be kind of organic, and we haven't found all the boundaries yet. And I think that the executive board shouldn't be making all the decisions. I think the committee as a whole, once we get all the senator members, should make some more of those decisions. So certainly we should send out some surveys this summer, but I don't think that we're going to decide on and like have sort of like a skeletal outline. But personally, I don't want to have the entire thing planned out because I want to leave that up to the senator members.
Any other, Senator Alvarez?
For the student services committee, what would that budget that you said they each get their own budget? What would that budget be used for?
That would depend on exactly what the committee would be. Whatever, it's the same way that we do budgeting for all of our committees right now. So basically, the chairs will tell the comptroller, hey, this is what we have planned. The comptroller works out the budget and says, all right, we have enough money to do things. That's committees are fairly autonomous in general to use their budget as they please, so far as the comptroller sees it as appropriate to sign those checks.
And Kaylee, what types of things would you, or what would necessitate for the student services committee? It sounds like it's kind of a liaison between USG and the university departments, but we don't put money into those departments, really?
Right. Well, Haley and I both are serving as liaisons through departments. It's just different divisions in different departments. So that money would not be going to the department, so it wouldn't be like, oh, Student Health Services wants to do this, so we're going to give them money for that. So for example, like last year, Alice did, what was that, like a cooking, like how to cook? So like for example, like dining services can provide how-tos, and so since that's a service that's provided, we would just fund that. So it's not going to be like we're throwing money back into the university. We're keeping the money for undergraduate students for programs and developing services, not giving them to the departments.
Are there any other questions regarding the legislation? Senator Rifkin, Senator Ennis?
Are there any responsibilities for student affairs now that won't be covered or will be covered significantly less than
The way that we've broken it down, there's shouldn't be anything that falls through the cracks, so to speak. And I believe that we have a pretty good mechanism in place for if something does seem to come up that hasn't been decided on beforehand, working out between the chairs and moving forward to make sure that it does find a home rather than just falling on middle ground. So,
Can I answer that too? Haley and I have also talked about that, and anything that's previously been covered in student affairs that committee members want to take on again next year, we will decide that will either fall under her or I. Nothing will get misplaced. So if there's an idea that regards student affairs traditionally, it'll end up in one of the committees depending on the respective responsibilities. Nothing will get lost.
Was there a senator here that wanted to ask a question before I recognize Chairperson Lowe? Yes, Senator Ennis.
How is the funding or the budget going to be subdivided now from the executive board? Is it going to be subdivided in 5, or is it just the old student affairs budget?
we can budget into as many line items as we want in any given year, as finitely as we want, or as broadly as we want. obviously there's a good middle ground where good budgeting practice falls, but it's not like there's money that was student affairs that people will then have to fight over. It's just a matter of budgeting by committee as if it's a fresh start. Every semester we do a zero-based budget anyway, so it's not going to be that difficult.
Chairperson Lowe?
So when students are looking on the USG page, how are they going to see student affairs now? So I know that people like email me from the student affairs USG page, and that's because they don't know like who to contact. They just realize it's a student affair. So what I'm just thinking is when they see your titles, I'm not sure if they would know who to contact. So how would that be like easily understood for students? Just because transparency is something USG is working on. So.
Absolutely. One of the other things that Kara and I have been talking about is having a dedicated student worker to attend to our website. So we should be able to redesign everything so that it makes a lot more sense in general. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding the changes to the bylaws? Proposed changes to the bylaws? I'm sorry. Senator Rana?
Just a quick question. Will both committee chairs be members of the exec?
Yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we move into debate. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate regarding this piece of legislation? Yes, Senator Alvarez.
First, forgive before me doing math wrong, because that made me look like an idiot. But I feel like I have to say that I do disagree with this change. I don't think it'll be as effective, and I know that we're still going to pass it anyway, and we're going to see how it goes. I just think it's my responsibility to say that I don't think this is effective for this organization.
And anybody else would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of ratifying an act concerning the USG bylaws, an act concerning, I want to read it exactly as it is, an act concerning the bylaws of the undergraduate student government, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. Thoroughly passes, but I just want to, hold on, I just want to reiterate, I'm not sure, I don't think Ed mentioned it, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, changes to the bylaws need to be approved by a 2/3 majority, so I'm just going to say that and we'll just move on, okay? Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for discussion? Yeah.
How's it going, everybody? So this past weekend, me and David decided to play tennis together, and this is relevant. I figured a good way to help, unite USG in a more of a social background would be to play sports together. Play basketball together, or we talked about student affairs, maybe a kickball game or something. Something that allows the entirety of USG to get together, including senators, chair people, committee members, and student workers, to get together in a way that involves us all together in a fun, social way outside of sort of the professional work background. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, it'd be cool to hear and see if we could come up with something that we could all do together.
Anybody would like to be recognized for discussion? Yeah, Chairperson.
I really think that we should have a kickball game before I graduate, but that was a personal thing. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yes.
Talk about it.
It's not about David. I'm just kidding. Sorry, just because we're very close to the end, let's just dig deep. Anybody else would like to be recognized for discussion? Chairperson Hines?
I'm just going to say, I forgot to mention, Anthony got the results back for the UCTV survey. Either him, I'll send out an email that he sent to me that says, so, sorry.
Anybody else for discussion? Seeing none, we move into announcements. Anybody who would like to be recognized for announcements? Yes.
We've been talking a lot about getting work done over the summer. It's looking more and more that my internships that I planned on doing this summer have been sequestered, and I will be here over the summer. So what I'd like to do is get a list of everyone who is going to be in stores, near stores, and in Connecticut, or Rhode Island area so that we can figure out how close people are to campus if we need to do work on certain things. Because I do have a few goals that I'd like us to get done, some real more like work stuff that if we can get people in, even just for like a week, we just get 5 people in the office for a whole day, we can crank through a lot of this stuff and get a lot of work done beforehand. So if you could all, I'm gonna send out a survey monkey of some sort, but just know that I'm going to be asking you what you'll be doing this summer, where you'll be, and how much time you think you can donate to USG. And I would love to spend at least some time with all of you doing fantastic things over the summer. So fill out my survey monkey when I send it out, and that's it for right now.
Yeah. Corey, go ahead.
I'm not gonna get up, but Club Sports is having our 5K Friday night, Club Globe tonight. Everyone should come. It's at 8 p.m. Today's the last day to pre-register online. It's $50. Half of the proceeds go to the Sandy Hook Foundation, the scholarship fund. You are guaranteed a t-shirt. They're lined pretty cool. There's fun prizes, and there's gonna be tons of people. Yes.
When's the last time today you can sign up? Does it go till
Like
midnight?
midnight.
Yes.
There's still time, guys.
Go ahead, Ozzy.
It's a 5K. It's a run.
Oh.
It's a race. You get a glow stick, glow necklace, glow glasses.
Yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
You can walk it. You're safe. Yeah. It's a closed course on campus. It's on Fairfield Way. It's pretty fabulous.
Sure, Ozzy, go ahead.
If you, let's say someone enters into the race and they win, do they get the prize or?
Yep, there's prizes for top 5 males, top 5 females. We have door prizes afterwards, so just for signing up, your name goes to like the drawing. We have a lot of great prizes.
All right. Anybody else for announcements? Yeah, Maria.
So next weekend on the 20th, there's going to be a student event here on the green. It's a combination between RHA and Husky, Yukon Power, Husky Records, and a couple of smaller groups. It's calling Yukon Palooza, so that's fun. It's kind of a combination of South Palooza and Yukonaru, so we'll see how that works together. But we'd like to see lots of people come and have lots of fun. And it's going to be from noon to midnight, technically speaking, and free music, free food, well, not free food. Food for spikes, or food for paying for. There's an underwear mile, there's going to be live bands, there's going to be a race tent, there's going to be inflatables, there's going to be frogs to look at, there's going to be double dare. There's so many things on this list. It's going to be lots of fun. I hope to see smoke there, if not else.
I'm sorry, when is it?
The 20th. Same as that. Yeah.
You just don't
Anybody else for announcements? All right, seeing none, adjourned at 7:34.